And welcome to Speak for Yourself. Marcellus Wiley here by myself. Emmy Emmanuel Acho is out today with many missed days as Emmys, I see. But let's get it started in Dallas. See me representing up here with Cam Newton, who is a free agent after being released by the Patriots earlier this week. One destination that has been mentioned is Dallas to back up Dak Prescott. But Mike McCarthy squashed any Cam rumors Thursday, saying, quote, "I think he has a ton of football left. We're excited about the group we have." Joined now by Fox NFL analyst Bucky Brooks and Mark Stinkin' Schlereth up here. So, Mark, let's start with you. Is it smart for the Cowboys to pass on signing Cam Newton?
Oh, yeah, I think it's very smart for them to pass on signing Cam Newton. Number one, if you sign him before the season starts, you're going to have to, guarantee his full salary. So I don't think there's many teams that are going to look at him seriously before week one passes. So that would be the number one thing. Number two, to me, Cam Newton is one of the most exceptional athletes I've ever watched play. I think he's a very average quarterback. Now, all of a sudden, with all the injuries that have stacked up on Cam Newton, going all the way back to the shoulder that started bothering him in 2017, he had surgery after the 2018 season on that shoulder. I just think he's become very average when I've always thought he was average from an accuracy standpoint, but now you take away that element of his game, that running element of his game, that threat element of his game because of all the injuries. And I just think when it comes to layered from the pocket throws, Cam has been a very average quarterback over the course of his career. And you take away the big time playmaking element. I just don't think he has the stuff that teams are really looking for.
Yeah, I'm with you right there. In terms of the Cowboys passing on Cam Newton, I think it was a smart move ultimately. I'm sure internally they went through the process and kicked the tires and made sure that Cam Newton was mentally available for them. And I'm sure through the conversation with Cam Newton and his representation, they wanted to know, was he available mentally to be a backup, I'm sure. And also the vaccination question that is looming for every single player as well. With all of that as evidence, I'm sure that they finally came to a decision and they went with Will Grier. I get all that. But Cam, horrible timing for Cam Newton to get released in the final cuts and get cut because of a rookie. This is a horrible situation you find yourself in. Like my dad used to always say, like he had to go to school, go uphill both ways. Cam's career right now is trying to now go uphill both ways. Let's talk about it because there's a present tense of Cam Newton and there's a past tense of Cam Newton that doesn't afford him any respect as well. The present tense of Cam Newton is the bad film we saw last year. Remember, he had 4 games last season where he threw for fewer than 100 yards. Running backs are going out there trying to get 100 yards a game, not quarterbacks. And Cam Newton threw for fewer than 100 yards 4 different times. We also saw that Cam Newton was struggling in terms of just picking up the system on the fly. Think about it. You want to bring Cam Newton in as a backup, you want him to be able to pick up a system on the fly. Doesn't seem like just of last year that he was able to do that. But here's where the past comes back to haunt Cam Newton as well. Because I caught you, Mark. You said, well, I thought Cam was average. Well, actually, I've always thought Cam was average in terms of his entire career. You're right. Look at this in terms of quarterback rankings this century. Cam Newton this century at the quarterback position ranks 3rd worst in completion percentage at 60.1. In passing yards per game, quarterbacks this century, 6th worst. In passer rating, 8th worst. So when you talk about the former MVP and Cam Newton, you start thinking of the highlights and you think about the power running game that he was a part of and the big arm talent and all those great moments. But there are some numbers that don't support Cam Newton of the past. And if we saw the film from last year, there's a lot of evidence that doesn't support him in the present.
Okay, so now the question is, were the Cowboys smart to pass on signing Cam Newton? I would say it's not a smart move because Dak Prescott is coming off an injury, and the 2 guys playing behind him, Cooper Rush and Will Grier, they can't play. And so last year the Cowboys got a taste of life without Dak Prescott, and it didn't taste really nice. It didn't taste good. And so we can talk about Cam Newton and whether he's a high-level starter and those things, but let's think about Andy Dalton last year for this Cowboys offense. Andy Dalton only averaged 197.3 passing yards per game. His passer rating was at 87.3. as bad as you talk about Cam Newton's film, Cam Newton on average 177.1 pass yards per game. His passer rating was right around 83, but he added 12 touchdowns on the ground. So if we're talking about a backup quarterback position, which Andy Dalton occupied last year, we could say that Cam Newton is at least in the same conversation of what they had last year. So to me, they downgraded him in the backup position by bypassing on Cam Newton.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that aspect of it, Bucky, and I'm not going to argue that aspect of it, but I think Marcellus brought up a great point. Where are you, Cam Newton? Because I think ultimately Cam Newton is looking back and going, okay, wait, I'm going to wait till a quarterback gets injured and see where I fit, see if I can still be a starter in this league, because that's exactly what he feels. Look at his Instagram page. He said, you think there's 32 better than me right now? And so he certainly feels like I can still be a starter in this league. I can be a productive starter in this league, and I can be a star talent. Until you're willing to come to grips with where you are in your career, you know, I think we all like to think of ourselves as still being able to play or still being, you know, still being great even when we lose a step. And so if he is not ready in his mind to accept a backup role, well then, frankly, to me, it would be foolish for any team to sign a guy that's not willing to do that, that doesn't want to be in that role, because that role requires you to be submissive, if you will, and to help the starting quarterback with whatever the starting quarterback needs. And, well, by the way, to run the scout team. I don't think Cam Newton's in a place right now where mentally he's ready to say, yeah, I'll run the scout team. I mean, he's not Brian Hoyer, for crying out loud. I don't think he's ready to do that.
I'm with you, Stink. It is a little wait-and-see game for Cam Newton. If I were in his position, I would wait for a starting opportunity. You never know what's going to happen out there where you are, Stink, in Denver. You never know how that situation is going to play out. Obviously, they have two guys, but they're not in love with either guy, but they're going to let them jockey for that opportunity. So if I'm Cam Newton, I am playing a little wait-and-see. But I'm also playing a game of self-awareness. And you said it. When you lose a step, it's so funny that you're the last one to really acknowledge that you lost that same step. I remember when I was in Dallas and I was coming down the hill pretty fast with no brakes. And it took Bill Parcells to finally pull me to the side going against Flozell Adams in a one-on-one pass rush drill in front of the entire camp, that he said, hey, Wiley, is that all you got? And I gave him the honest answer, as I always do. Yeah, that's all I got, Coach. He said, That was thunder in my head of like, dog, you ain't the same dude. I don't know where Cam Newton is yet. I don't know what's going on in his head, but there's about to be some thunder rolling in his head if he doesn't see an opportunity fast. We all got to remember, especially as athletes with our egos, that we're always the star of that movie that's playing in our head. We're always the one that saves the day. But in reality, there's some younger guys out there. He just found out the hard way, a rookie that could come and save the day as well. So I look at Cam Newton really falling victim almost to the perception that he can't suppress that ego of being a former MVP, a former #1 pick. The reality is we don't know yet, because Cam has not found himself in that despair just yet. But as this season continues and Cam Newton starts to realize that, hey, maybe nobody's going to buy my script, nobody's going to put me in their movie, you might have to change that part that you're playing in your head, because the reality is going to say something different.
Yeah, look, I think this is a complex situation for both parties. I think for the Dallas Cowboys, like most teams, here's what you're thinking you're getting when you bring Cam Newton into the locker room. One, he's an alpha male presence. Yeah. And if you have a quarterback who has any insecurity, that could mess up the chemistry in the locker room, because when Cam walks in there, naturally some guys are going to gravitate towards him. Secondly, he has a unique game that may require the coach to do some extra work to kind of build a system around him. Normally, for your backup quarterback, you're not extending a lot of reps to them, so that makes it complex. To me, even though I say this is not a smart deal, to me, it reminds me a lot of Carmelo Anthony in the NBA. Carmelo Anthony was a talent, was still worthy of being able to get 20 points a game, but everyone in the league paused because they didn't know where his head was at. And it took him a year away from the game to kind of find his way back into the game, where someone gave him an opportunity after being let go with Houston. For Cam, he may be looking at a similar situation where it is QB1 or nothing, because people don't view him as a guy that can handle the QB2 responsibility until he shows people and tells people he's willing to do that.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. We all know that the backup duties are a little bit more than listed. I think most people out there who haven't been involved with the game as intimately as us think that it's about just holding the clipboard and yes, sir, no, sir to the coach. Oh, the subordination doesn't stop with the coach. It's with the players. Like, when you are a backup, you got to say, okay to Dak, no matter what Dak talk about. You can't push back on Dak, because if Dak don't like how you getting down, Dak going to look at you a little sideways, because in a weird way, Dak is actually your boss. Like, you got to get Dak right. Not only do you have to get yourself right, which is be real as a backup, you always wish the best for the team, and you wish a little bit of hell to that guy who's starting in front of you, because you want your shine. You want your opportunity. So Cam is going to find himself in a crazy place. I just know from being a backup, like, Cam ain't getting the donuts and the chicken, dog. Like, Cam is not going to do the run for the team like the backups have to do. I just can't see it. So he finds himself in the worst position right here. A fringe starter. We've seen it over time where all of a sudden you look at a fringe starter and say, I don't know about that guy, especially when he's a superstar, whether it's Colin Kaepernick, Johnny Manziel, Tim Tebow, etc. So I'm going to come to you, Stink, with this since you're out there in Denver. We're talking about a Drew Lock and a Teddy Bridgewater who's going to start for that team. Would Cam be a good fit in Denver? They've been seeking a quarterback for a long time.
I don't think he's a good fit, because I think the way they're trying to win in Denver, Colorado right now is they are trying to run the football. They are trying to play great defense. On paper, they've got probably the best secondary in all of football. So to me, it's about possessing the ball, converting on third downs, being judicious with the football and the way you throw it. Those are the things that they're talking about here in Denver, and that just does not seem to fit his game right now.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. What's going to fit his game is the conversation. But right now, I think he's like, look, one size fits all. I could fit anywhere. Just give me that chance. Give me that opportunity. We'll see. Welcome back. Let's head to Tampa. And the reigning Super Bowl MVP, Tom Brady, who has the fourth best odds to win the regular season MVP award this season, according to Fox Bet Sportsbook. Trailing only Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and Josh Allen. Brady is fresh off a 7th Super Bowl title. Good Lord. But he is 44 years young. So, Bucky, will Tom Brady be in the MVP conversation this season?
Yeah, absolutely, because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be good. They have an opportunity to run it back. And anytime you win games, that puts the quarterback in the center of the discussion. That's just the way we view the MVP. We give the quarterback all of the credit when the team wins. So Tom Brady is going to be in the mix. But look, his play could certainly also bring him into the discussion. Year 2 in Bruce Arians' system, more comfort with the weapons that he has around him. Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, AB is back and healthy and running around like a crazy man. Then you got Rob Gronkowski. So this is going to be an offense that really showcases what he can do. And then defensively, they should be able to lock it down so tough on defense that he has more opportunities, more possessions. This team is going to win 12 or more games. If they hit that number, Tom Brady is going to be in the discussion because he is the leader of a team that could make a back-to-back run.
I have to disagree with you there. And I think you don't even believe what you were saying, because when I asked you the question, the first thing you did was fix your glasses, because you know you had to see this stuff, this BS you was about to spew out here. I caught that. Look, man, for the team to be at its best, they don't need Tom Brady to do all of that. And they learned this the hard way last year in terms of their success. Remember when Tom Brady had to go through his struggles, little mid-season struggles, when they had the losses to the Saints, the Rams, and to the Chiefs, week 9 through week 12. And then they had the bye week, late bye week. And he had to give the double tap to Bruce Arians. Remember the double tap? And you even talked about this before. He said, look, man, I'm out here fishing with a Patriots pole. I need to put that in the Patriots pond. I know we in Tampa, but come on, man. This risk it for a biscuit stuff, man, how's that worked out for you so far? I got 6 rings doing it the Patriots way. Let's do it the Patriots way. We all know what that means. Complementary football. Tom Brady is a big believer, the greatest enforcer of complementary football. We even saw it come into play when they were on the road playing against the Green Bay Packers, and how you're supposed to play at the end of a half and the beginning of a third quarter, something that Bruce Arians disregarded before this year in terms of respecting that until Tom Brady double tapped him. So now you look at Tom Brady. He realizes it's about the running game. It's about the defense. Look, I put up numbers because look at all the weapons we have, but I don't need to go out there. And if Tom Brady goes out there again and has this stretch of games, last year, 1-3 in that week 9 through 12, 62 completion percentage, 8 and 7 touchdown interception, 80 passer rating. Ask Russell Wilson about having a dry patch, a dry stretch of games, and how that would affect your MVP voting. I don't think Tom Brady's in the MVP consideration this year or ever again, but that doesn't mean the rings won't keep adding up on his fingers.
You couldn't be more wrong on this take because we're talking about most valuable player, not offensive player of the year, because there's a difference. Offensive player of the year is about the statistical assessment, what he does. Does he set a touchdown record in those things? Most valuable, people would say that he brings value because year one of Tom Brady coming to Tampa, they win the Super Bowl. A team that couldn't get to the playoffs with Jameis Winston suddenly becomes a Super Bowl winner with Tom Brady, so his value is already ready and apparent. So now, year two, if this team performs better, because remember, they weren't great last year during the regular season. At one point, they were 7-5 before getting hot and running the table. Tom Brady in year two, if they go out and have one of those high double-digit win seasons, he is going to get the credit because, man, we love a feel-good story, and this is a feel-good story about an old man still playing a game that we all wish that we could still play.
Yeah, God, I'm with you. It's like we're running in lane 3, lane 4. We're right next to each other, neck and neck.
Come on.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. And I see you right there, Bucky. I ain't going to break form. You know me. I'm running my own race. However, it's impossible for Brady to show more value this year than he did last year. Remember, this was a team that didn't make the playoffs before Brady arrived. He arrives, they just swap out the quarterback. We know other pieces, but basically, Jameis Winston out, Tom Brady in, Super Bowl championship. Now, that becomes the floor in terms of expectations or at least perception. How can Tom Brady now exceed that in terms of value? You can't. Most valuable player, that's going to go to a guy like a Josh Allen who was close, almost trying to get over the hump, finally gets over the hump, and then you realize that's the most valuable player. It goes to a guy like even Patrick Mahomes. Oh, my God, you guys got smashed last time we saw you on the football field. And then you go out there and you show them and reset. But how can Tom Brady reset? He already reset the entire franchise in 1 year. So when you're talking about value, it's almost like you want to get the most, but you actually want to expect the least. In Tom Brady's circumstance, we expect the most, and we certainly saw the most.
I mean, I understand that, but then I remember watching the Super Bowl, and during the Super Bowl, I didn't feel like Tom Brady was the best player on the field. But lo and behold, at the end of the game, he walked away with the hardware. Why? Because we always associate wins with the quarterback. And I know that we talk about quarterback wins on a real stat, but that's how we measure quarterbacks, on wins and rings. And so if this team is in a position to win another ring, Tom Brady is going to get the credit for that. And look, rightfully so, because he has changed the culture in that locker room. He brought his winning ways, which he learned from New England and Belichick, and he's taught them to the masses. And so now the preparation, all the things that they're doing, understanding how to play situational football, they're doing that. I'm not giving him all of the credit, but when you hear enough conversations about the guys who are on that team, talk about how Tom Brady keeps them in check, he absolutely is the most valuable player of that team, and a team that could win the most of any team in football this year. That means that it's also going to go to him being recognized as the league as the most valuable player in the league because the team is so successful.
Okay, well, let's bring in another opinion on this. Let's bring in Fox NFL analyst Mark Schlereth. And Mark, will Tom Brady be in the MVP conversation? Please agree with me.
Yeah, absolutely. He's Tom freaking Brady, for crying out loud. And he hasn't lost a step. And I think you have to go back to last season and the transition that went in. Talking to both Tom Brady during the season, I did 4 Tampa games. Talking to both Tom Brady 4 times and talking to Bruce Arians as well. There were 2 different trains of thought here. Bruce Arians is a guy that wants to do everything post-snap, right? So he wants to be more static. He wants to read the middle linebacker and the safeties to tell what their coverage is. Where Tom Brady for 20 years was more pre-snap. I want a motion across the formation. I want to go from outside to inside. I want to be able to recognize whether they're in man, whether they're in some type of zone. I want to be able to see that stuff and get a good pre-snap read before we go post-snap. And so there was an argument, or there was a lack of these two guys being on the same page, and they had to basically meld these two systems together. And they were 8-5 at that time. And then Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers took off, never lost another game, ended up winning a world championship. And if Tom Brady can win world championships, if he leads his team to world championships, I will say this. There is no question the effect that he has had on that football team. When you talk to Chris Godwin, when you talk to Mike Evans, when you talk to Leonard Fournette, when you talk to those guys talking about how they thought they were professionals, right? How they worked exceptionally hard. And then he walked in the locker room and they said, oh, man, we got to pick our crap up because we're not doing enough. And that's the effect that guy has. And that, to me, is most valuable player.
Look, I'm not disagreeing with you guys in terms of Tom Brady's still going to be excellent. Tom Brady's still going to lead this team potentially to another Super Bowl championship. He's the last guy to win back-to-back championships. We get it. But you're talking to guys on that team that are not built for this like Tom Brady is. Let's talk about that, because everyone can say anything before the bullet's alive. But trying to go out there and be repeat champions is a different thing than talking it and walking it. The bullseye's on this team's back now. Now, how many of those guys in that locker room at the NFL level have had the bullseye on their back as a collective? Tom Brady has, and Tom Brady can tell you everything about it, but that's not the same thing as living through it. Let me take you guys, where Bucky at, because he out here in L.A. Stink knows L.A., but let's go south of the 10 freeway, y'all. Let's go east of the 110 freeway, y'all. Yeah, we there, where I grew up. Now, I get married to a beautiful old lady from Vancouver, actually a farm town outside of Vancouver by the name of Abbotsford. So the first time my wife finally journeys south of the 10, east of the 110, she ain't scared of nothing, you know. She been through a few things in her life. It was a different world. It was a different experience when she realized, oh, baby, over here, it ain't about talk, it's about walk. And I saw the anxiety. I saw the change up of behavior. I saw, oh, baby, no, it's okay to walk through this alley. It's okay to take this side street. Oh, I saw her flip out and change up. You can say what you want until you're going through it. Tom Brady has been through this. I respect Leonard Fournette and all those guys. They are ballers. But have they been through this before? Stink, you know this. Because, look, you were on a team that did this. When you talk about going back to back, when you talk about a team trying to win a championship again, you can't skip steps. I'm not sure of the collective maturity and professionalism of this team. I know the talent's there, but are they ready mentally to do what Tom Brady has already done?
Yeah, you know what? That's the $64,000 question. Here's the deal, though. When you got Tom Brady holding everybody accountable, the thing about him that I find incredibly interesting is, as famous as this guy is, he just wants to be one of the guys, but he drives his whole team. He drives them from a preparation standpoint. He drives them from a work ethic standpoint. He drives them from a what is it that you want, because he is all about 100% team. I don't care about going to Pro Bowls. I don't care. I guarantee you, Tom Brady doesn't give a rip about winning an MVP or going to the Pro Bowl. Tom Brady wants to win a championship. And that's the attitude that he brings, and it permeates the walls of that whole organization like nothing else. And so, like, I've been a part of a team that won back-to-back championships, and it takes that kind of unselfishness, it takes that kind of drive, and it takes that kind of, I want to prove it to the world, not only the world, but to myself, and we want to prove it to each other. And that's one thing that guy brings. Now, will they all adhere to that? Will they all jump on that bandwagon? I happen to think they will, and I think they're that talented, both offensively and especially on the defensive side. They don't get enough credit for how talented they are. Those two middle linebackers are top-notch. They can rush the passer. And that defensive secondary doesn't get the credit it deserves. But when you talk about Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean, and you talk about Winfield Jr., you talk about the guys they have on there, man, they go 7 deep in that defensive backfield, and they're as good as it gets in this league. So they are a talented group.
Yeah, look, this is a talented team, a team that could rival some of the top teams in terms of most complete, most talented. They didn't lose any notable names in the offseason. Bring Antonio Brown back, Rob Gronkowski back. You still have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. This offensive line is solid. I mean, maybe the one area of weakness you could worry about is running back, but they added Giovanni Bernard, who gives Tom Brady like a Shane Vereen type, someone that he can dump to, James White type out the backfield. So now in year 2, they've made this offense even more Tom Brady friendly. So I would expect them to play at a high level, and the confidence that comes from being the champion. Even though you're getting everybody's best punch, everybody's going to raise their game when they face you. There's nothing like walking to the arena when you've been the champion. Tom Brady has done it more than any other quarterback in football. Because of that, he knows how to get his team ready. And because of that, we're going to reward him for the win with some more hardware on his mantle.
Yeah, it's tough to reward him for the wins, though, when his check engine light is on. Tom Brady was leaking a little gas last year, and he's going to be 44 years old this year. Like, be real about this. See, this is why we got to dive into these numbers and to the details. I don't know if y'all ever tried to go to Vegas or just go anywhere, and you saw that E light, and you're like, oh, and then you start calculating, okay, how far is the gas station? How much I got? Okay, is it at the top of the E, or is it in the middle of the E, or is it at the bottom of the E, or is it when it hit that little knob at the bottom? Like, I've been there before. And if you watch Tom Brady in the postseason, do y'all remember he had 3 straight games with a completion percentage less than 60%? Check engine light was on. Check engine light was on. Do y'all remember, even though he won Super Bowl MVP, he only threw for 201 yards, Cam Newton style. Do y'all remember that? Check engine light is on. Check engine light is on. It helps when you got a defense that forces 9 turnovers in the postseason. But real about this conversation, him going forward as the MVP, I just think he's trying to just make it to the destination. He don't give a damn about the stats. Russell Wilson recently said he feels better than he ever has, but he's missing his left tackle, Duane Brown. Brown is entering the final year of his contract and has not been practicing. Russ said, quote, "We definitely need him." And Pete Carroll sounded optimistic that everything will work out. Take a listen.
He's been on everything. He's been working out. He's been in all of the walkthrough stuff. He's taken all those reps. He's been all the meetings, everything, active part in all of that.
Do we have any more clarity as to whether or not when he'll be back, whether or not he'll be back by week 1?
I'm counting on him. I'm counting on him being ready.
So, Mark, do the Seahawks owe it to Russell Wilson to sign Duane Brown?
I don't think they owe it to Russell Wilson. They owe it to themselves. I mean, you're in a division right now that has 3 Super Bowl contenders in it, in my mind. You've got San Francisco, who, if Jimmy Garoppolo can be healthy, has proven their roster depth and their running game can lead you to a championship run. They've got the Rams, and I've always been a huge Matthew Stafford fan because I think the guy's an elite-level quarterback that's just been in a really junky situation in Detroit. And Sean McVay, obviously, as a play caller and what they want to do, they're going to be outstanding. And then you've got the Seahawks, who are just winners. So you owe it to your football team. You can't go wrong having great players. And I will tell you this, all that offseason, just the rift between Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson and all those things. And I think the organization was really angry when Russell Wilson talked about sacks, because Russell Wilson runs into a majority of those sacks. I mean, if you're talking about 45 sacks a year, at least a third of them are planted on the quarterback. And when you live in one of those offensive lineman rooms, like I lived in forever, every one of those sacks, every pressure, there is somebody who takes the blame. There is somebody that gets graded for that. And more often than not, you'd be surprised how many times the quarterback is the guy that takes that check mark, that negative scarlet letter. He wears it. And Russell does it a ton because Russell holds the ball. Now, take this for what it's worth, because as much as he holds the ball, man, he makes unbelievable plays. And that's why they put up with it. But I think that's one of the reasons they were mad. So, yeah, they owe it to their football team to get Duane Brown signed.
Spoken like a true offensive lineman right there. Put it on the quarterback, all them sacks. I heard you, Stink. But I'm glad you brought that up in terms of who the blame should go to, and more importantly, this offseason, as you spoke about. They don't owe it to Russell Wilson to sign Duane Brown. I'll get to Duane Brown later in my second lap, but let's talk about Russell Wilson right now. Man, Russell, this is why you don't kick up dust, bruh. This is why you don't try and embarrass the organization that tries to support you. This is why you don't make things public in terms of your gripes and your issues. Because people listen better when the ego is not involved. Now you tried to punk this organization, tried to burn the house down, and now you're like, okay, we're all together, kumbaya. Can you sign Duane Brown? I need him. And they looking at you like, what? Need him for what? To help you get sacked more? According to you, you're not protected. Why sign a guy that ain't protecting you? Make it make sense. Russell Wilson, oh my God. This entire offseason, he was peacocking. You know what that is, just showing them colors and, oh, I'm Russell Wilson. Oh, I should be an MVP, but I can't get a vote. Oh, I'm Russell Wilson. I was killed in the first 5-8 weeks of the season. Oh, I'm Russell Wilson. Nobody around me is as good and protecting me. If y'all were dress up the team like I am, we'd be sitting there right now with Tom Brady, and we'd be sitting there right now with Patrick Mahomes. Instead, I'm sitting up here with Sierra and Roger Goodell. I get you, Russell Wilson, but here's the problem, man. They have details. They have facts. They have empirical data on you and everybody on that team. So now you come back and you want a favor? A public favor? When they saw you do them no favors in terms of PR and in terms of perception? Oh, this is going to be a tug of war, and the tug of war is of egos.
Yeah, now egos are definitely involved when you talk about this situation with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson tried to kind of orchestrate a coup so he could get up out of Seattle. They didn't balk, they didn't bite, they let it go. He's now back there. And so when we talk about, do the Seahawks owe it to Russell Wilson to sign Duane Brown? No, not at all. They owe it to themselves, however, to see if they can put together an offensive line that stands the test of time. My concern with Duane Brown would be this. He's 36 years of age. We're seeing Andrew Whitworth and Jason Peters at 39 start games in the league, but it's an ugly start when you watch them on film. How much do the Seattle Seahawks want to pump into Duane Brown? Because remember, Russell's deal is coming up. If they do decide to bring him back, that means somebody else has to be the sacrificial lamb. Maybe, just maybe, Duane Brown is the sacrificial lamb now so they can get Russell Wilson done later.
Yeah, the age thing is, there's no question you slow down. But the one thing about playing offensive line is you don't rely on athleticism to get your job done. You rely on technique, understanding of the game. And that's why guys like Whitworth can continue to play. Even though you slip some, you still can do your job at a very high level. And it's the professionalism. To me, I think that's one of the things that as you travel around the league and you talk to coaching staffs and you talk to general managers, it's about teaching the young players how to prepare as professionals. Because I think a lot of young players come into this league and think they're working hard, think they're preparing like professionals. And then you see somebody who actually does it and you realize, oh gosh, I got to pick my game up. And I think that's the value of veteran players. I'm not saying sign him to a 6-year deal, right? Mm-hmm. I'm saying make sure you take care of him for 2 years. And if that's what he wants to play. And I don't think they have done a great job of grooming a lot of young players and developing a lot of young players. They have a philosophy there in Seattle of let's go get defensive players or tight ends and transition them. And that works occasionally. Every now and again, you're going to find a diamond in the rough. Unfortunately, oftentimes it doesn't work. And then when you take a guy like Affetti that you invest a first rounder in, and he just does not ever pan out. Now he's playing where in Chicago, I think. Those are the things when you make those that hindsight being 2020 are mistakes. Those end up costing you because you don't address those positions. You wait for that guy to develop and that guy to blossom. And when he doesn't, then you realize now we've got two problems. We just lost our starter because we don't want to re-sign him. We're not going to pay him. And we really, truly haven't developed anybody to take that spot.
Yeah, to your point, if you look at the depth chart, there are 3 left tackles on the roster, but one is injured and one is a 6th-round rookie. So, and none of them are named Duane Brown in terms of who's going to go out there and give you that level of production. Man, I got to put my agent hat on, and I'm going to get paid on both sides of this negotiation because I see the side of Duane Brown where you shouldn't play until you get a new deal. And then I also see the side of the organization like, we ain't about to pay you another year or another contract when you already have a year left on your contract at the age of 36. Let's put that agent hat on. Entering your final year of a contract, you haven't been to the Pro Bowl in the last 4 years, not a problem. Since you've been in Seattle, Russell Wilson's been sacked 146 times, second most in the NFL during that span. Russell, how much do you think he is in terms of compensation and value if we've been sacked the second most times in that span? Because either you got to say it's on Duane Brown some, or you got to say it's on you some. And since you want to bring the ego into the conversation, I'd like you to say that to the mic. I'd like you to say that on air. I'd like you to take it public like you did everything else. That's going to be interesting right there. But if I'm Duane Brown also, I'm like, do I want to be out there because maybe I am slipping? And I know Stink said, hey, it's not about age in terms of athleticism at that position. But if I am slipping, but I've been slipping under the radar until Russell Wilson start kicking up dust, what am I going to do? Because the last thing I want to do is go out there, get hurt, and then I'm 36 years old, injured, and then they really look at that film and start to say, nah, dog, I don't know. So to me, this one could go both ways.
Yeah, I'm not going out there unless I have, an extra year or whatever the case may be on the end of that contract, right? Because here's the other thing. Go ahead. Go ahead and play without me. Yeah, you got a 6th rounder and some other guys. You got a couple of Jags out there. Go ahead. Let's see how it works for you. You thought you were getting sacked a lot before. Wait till you start with this. So, and especially, when you're talking about the guys that rush the passer in that division and the way they play, when you got to line up and have Aaron Donald in there and you're listen, man, when Aaron Donald is playing against an offensive line, they're double and triple teaming him. Everybody else is in one-on-one. Wherever Aaron is, you got 2 offensive linemen and a back going over there to help out. So, hey, Duane Brown, you're on your own. Good luck, or left tackle that backs me up. You're on your own. Good luck. Like that's a tough task. So, to me, it's about finding something in the middle that appeases him so that he'll come back and play. And, easier said than done, right? Easy where I sit to say that. But that's how I would think you would want to get that done.
Yeah, I understand the need to have Duane Brown back, particularly after all the struggles they had at left tackle prior to his arrival. They had to trade for him to get him in because Russell was getting battered and bruised in the pocket. That said, I think you have to be careful if you're a decision maker and you're trying to build this thing around a quarterback. Russell Wilson has expressed to you in your face, I don't know if I want to be here. Here's some destinations if I want to be traded, blase, blase, blase. I think if you're the Seahawks and John Snyder, Pete Carroll, you got to look at how can we build this team for the long haul? If we pump a bunch of money into Duane Brown, what does that do for our other situations? Do we still want Russell Wilson to be a part of this equation going forward? We can presume, yes, but how many of those hurt feelings still linger after they so-called made it up? So I think this is a tricky situation. I think if you're the Seahawks, you don't do anything to placate to Russell Wilson. I think what you have to do is look at your roster today and say, does Duane Brown give us an opportunity to win the Super Bowl, not only this year, but next year? And then you got to make your decision accordingly.
Yeah, man, it's crazy in Seattle right now. New offensive coordinator, new left tackle, at least all the training camp, because Duane Brown's not been practicing. Maybe this entire season. We'll see how it plays out. They've been in the news too damn much because of Russell Wilson, and I'm certain that they want to go back to the old winning ways. Russell, you got to help him out. Duane, show up. Fox football analyst TJ Houshmandzadeh is now joining us. All right, TJ, start with you. Who should be on upset alert tomorrow? Number 12, Wisconsin against Penn State, or number 16, LSU against UCLA?
Initially, I thought LSU should be on upset alert, and then I thought about it and looked at the rosters. I slapped myself and said, boy, what are you thinking? Wisconsin's going to be on upset alert.
All right, what you got, Bucky?
I don't know. LSU's on upset alert. UCLA, I saw that defense from LSU last year. I'm going with UCLA. Chip Kelly, he brings it back.
Yeah, the LA in me is going to say LSU, you're on upset alert. But, I got family over there coaching at Penn State as well. So, Wisconsin, watch your back because you're on upset alert as well. Let's get back to the NFL. There are big expectations right here in LA for the Rams after the big addition of Matthew Stafford. But his offense might have a few question marks. He'll be throwing to Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, but he's coming in with zero playoff wins. According to The Athletic, NFL executives voted the Rams as the third best team in the NFC behind the Bucs and Packers. So, TJ, is there any reason to question Matthew Stafford's Rams offense?
I don't question it at all. The thing that I do question, so I guess I do question it somewhat, is can Andrew Whitworth come back healthy? Can that offensive line stay healthy, open up lanes in a run zone, and keep Stafford upright? That, for me, that's the only key. Stafford is a stud. Cooper Kupp, he can get open. Robert Woods, he can get open. Running back might be a question mark, and they also have Deshaun Jackson to stretch the field. And so if that offensive line can protect, I mean, you just look at the Rams. McVay's first year, number 1 in scoring offense. His second year, number 2. His third year, 11. Last year, 22. He was 22nd ranked offense in the league. So they progressively got worse. And I believe it had to do with the offensive line and the quarterback position. With Matthew Stafford there, they will finish within the top 12, I believe, offensively.
All right, TJ, we kind of get to the same place. Yeah, look, there's a reason to question Matthew Stafford and this offense. But I also believe this team is going to ball out. I think this team is going to be in the NFC Championship. But both things can be true. Let's question this offense, though. Like you said, it's been in decline. Number 1, number 2, what is it, number 11, and number 22? Like, Sean McVay? Oh, okay, it was all on Jared Goff. Phew. Hey, you can't fool everybody. TJ, we played the game. Bucky, we played the game. It ain't all on the quarterback. So now let's dive a little deeper into it, because you mentioned the offensive line. Offensive line, like, don't put that on us. Last year, we were ranked number 3 as an offensive line, and we're returning 4 starters back. We only lost 1 dude. So, that wasn't on us. So then you start to look at the running back position. Oh, remember we had Cam Akers? Oh, he's hurt. Okay, now we're going to have Darrell Henderson out there. Yeah, squint your eyes out there, people. Y'all like, Darrell Henderson? Yeah, yeah. Oh, we got Sony Michel. Sony Michel, 8 games played, 14 games played, 6 games played. James White was catching more passes than him, never 1,000 yards. Squint your eyes again. So now you start to look. And then Matthew Stafford out here, bright lights. Matthew Stafford is a beast. It's not on him. However, no playoff wins. And then you get to a situation where you're like, my running game, we'll see. But I got my passing game. I got Robert Woods. I got Cooper Kupp. Now, here's the thing about them, and they know I love them together, but are they an individual number 1 separate? So there's no damning number 1 out there to threaten, but you got a collective group, and then you got an offensive line that is strong, but last year it was strong. What happened last year? Made the playoffs, but blamed it all on Jared Goff. To me right now, there are some question marks that must be answered for them to go out there and ball out.
Oh, there are a ton of question marks when it comes to the Rams. TJ just loves to Matthew Stafford. It's the former wide receiver in him. He knows that Matthew Stafford throws a pretty ball, has maybe some of the best arm talent that we've ever seen in the league. But here's what I learned from 50 Cent. Winners win and losers lose. And when I look at Matthew Stafford, he only has 4 winning seasons under his belt. And, Marcellus, you pointed to the running game and the running back situation. In Matthew Stafford's career, he's only had 11 100-yard runners in a game. 11. And so when I think about this Rams offense, and we talked about it, the reason they won in the past wasn't necessarily about Jared Goff. It was about the running game setting up everybody else. They don't have a running back that is going to scare anybody. So now Matthew Stafford is throwing against coverage. And I'm going to say this as respectfully as I can. I like Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, but they're not number 1. Who is going to be the double team when you start throwing double coverage at them? So you're playing against loaded zone. You don't have a true number 1, and you don't have a running back. To me, I don't think this offense is better with Matthew Stafford swapping it out for Jared Goff because the pieces around the quarterback aren't improved.
They've never had a true number 1 then in anybody's eyes, really, to be honest with you. When they finished 1, when they finished 2, did they have a true number 1? Absolutely not, because it's the same receivers that we have now. And so when history is shown, if you swap out one quarterback for another quarterback and that quarterback is better, we should improve. Tampa Bay Bucks are a prime example. I wouldn't take it to that extreme. I'm not saying Stafford is Brady, but you get where I'm going. Matthew Stafford has played with one defense that was ranked in the top 10. He led Detroit to the playoffs. They went 11-5. The Rams had the number 1 defense in the league last year.
Interesting. Here's my problem. TJ, you're not admitting all the issues to the fullest, but you're magnifying and admitting to the fullest all the positives. Like, you know how it goes when we're sitting there and we got to go through our team meetings, and then we break down into, like, separate sides. So offense over there with the coordinator, defense. Then we break down again. God dang, how many times are we going to break down? Now we down into our position groups. You got to keep it 100 when you're in a position group meeting, because that's the one you're going to be in the longest anyway. Red dot on you. Hey, Robert Woods. Can't get off that press coverage, can you? Oh, it's okay. Hey, Cooper Kupp, deep threat. No, you can't go run that fly out there, huh? So here's the thing. We got Deshaun Jackson now. Respect to the homie. I love that. I know he loved my suit right now. He know what I'm talking about. 34 years old. Deshaun, how's the hammy? Like, look, I love me some Deshaun. I love it all in connection together as a collective. But individually, there are question marks here. And then, Bucky, I can't let you be Debbie Downer, Donald Downer about this situation also. You can't say winners win and losers lose, because last time I checked, let's go to another sport in basketball, Kevin Garnett. Remember Kevin Garnett when he was in Minnesota? And everybody's like, oh, man, if he's so damn good, if he top 10 like everybody says, why can't he win? Losing in the first round every single year for like 7 years. And then he goes to Boston. And then anything is possible. And then he wins, and all of a sudden, you can't stop people from calling him a winner. Kind of eerily similar to this situation. I know TJ didn't want to talk about Tom Brady, but Tom Brady does come to mind. You look at the Pittsburgh Steelers a couple years ago when Ben Roethlisberger got hurt. That was a team, all right, 8-8. Ben Roethlisberger comes back, they go 11-0, 12-4, find themselves winning that division, a very tough division. Swapping out a quarterback is a quick fix. It's not going to fix all of your issues, and that's the concern I have with this offense.
Okay, so wait a minute. You're going to throw this Kevin Garnett analogy on me. It is not the same thing, because when Kevin Garnett went to Boston, he went with 2 Hall of Famers. Who are the 2 Hall of Famers that Matthew Stafford is going with? No, he doesn't have one. It is the people around him that are going to upgrade it. And to TJ's point, TJ, you talk about swapping out the quarterback when the offense was number 1 and number 2. You know who was on that offense when they were number 1 and number 2? Ty Gurley. Ty Gurley, the offensive player of the year. Those years when he was getting it done, that is the difference. They don't have the engine that really made this offense be successful. So the guy who is really on is not Matthew Stafford. It's Sean McVay. If Sean McVay is the offensive wizard that we've anointed him to be, well, then he should wave his magic wand and find a way for this offense to go. Because he can't keep blaming all the pieces around him. At some point, we're going to look at the guy with the laminated sheet and say that maybe he's a fraud when it comes to it.
When you look at it, let's go back to the playoff game. Who started that playoff game for the Rams? Against Seattle.
He got knocked out.
That lets you know McVay was like, I can get this done with anybody but Goff. And McVay knows they don't have a true number 1 receiver. And Bucky, you know this all too well. They don't line up out wide. They're always condensed where we can't get pressed. We can get free releases. So it negates the need for a number 1. And because McVay knows this, we'll put D-Jack out wide, press him. But Kupp and Woods, we're going to align them tight. A lot of times when you line tight and condense splits, you get off coverage. Free access makes it easy for my route running receivers.
That's interesting right there. TJ started to make me lean a little bit. Like, I shouldn't be as concerned because I am an eternal optimist, but I just look at it right now. The defense won't be as good, right? So that puts pressure on the offense to carry the load, because they were number 1 ranked last year, but now their defensive coordinator is now the Chargers' head coach. So you look at that situation, what's the defense going to do? You still got the players, but do you have the same play calling? So let's say the defense takes a step back. We know that the offense should take a step forward. Is that balancing act what they're really trying to go with? Because I think Sean McVay, with the weapons he has this year, is better than 22nd in scoring. But I also look at that defense and say, I don't know if y'all going to go back-to-back number 1 defenses. So it's just about how they're going to play the game.
What if they drop to number 7, Marcellus? What if they drop to 7th defensively and go up to 13th offensively? That's good. Would you say?
That's good, but then here, okay, the balancing act is now lost, not because of offense to defense. It's within the offense, intra-offense. Sony Michel, Darrell Henderson, like, is that really playoff time? Matthew Stafford, be real. You can't lie to your subconscious. You can lie consciously because that's all your rational thought, and that's over you just rhetoric, using words. Yes, coach, I'm ready. But deep down, you like, dog, I ain't never did this before. I'm good. I'm Matthew Stafford. Okay, in the playoffs, you know, they want to bring the game to you. Start slow. Hand the ball off. You handed the ball off to who? Handing the ball off and doing what? What kind of success are they going to have in their running game in those playoff moments when you know everything intensifies? That's my only conversation. Matthew Stafford going to get it done. But he needs a balancing act. Tom Brady needed a balancing act last year to finally get over the hump and get it done. Are they going to have that intra-offense balancing act, Bucky?
No, they're not going to have the intra-offense balancing act. They're not going to be able to get it done because they don't have a dynamic runner that's going to change the coverage. They're going to have to put this on Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is now in Detroit West, basically. He's in the same offense that he was there. He doesn't have the weapons around him, and we're going to complain about, oh, he needs more, he needs this, he needs that. At some point, Matthew Stafford is going to have to be able to put the entire offense on his back, but he's having to do it in a division that is harder because now he has to deal with Seattle, San Francisco, two monsters. And so I just don't know how this team gets better. I like Matthew Stafford, but I'm just not a believer that this offense is better with the pieces that they have in place around them because the running game is still not a key cog in the offense.
Man, the LA and me is rooting for the Rams. I think they are going to be in the NFC Championship game. But beyond all that, just don't mess up SoFi Stadium when y'all play because you know the week after that, my Chargers be in there every single week. Don't be messing it up. Let's head to Dallas. Mike McCarthy missed the playoffs in his first season with the Cowboys. But now it's on to year 2, fellas. Dallas Morning News wrote McCarthy has talked about Super Bowl or bust for his team, but then added, competing all season and making the playoffs might be enough to stop Jerry Jones from having the clock tick on his head coach. So, Mark, is the clock already ticking? Tick-tock on Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, of course it is. I mean, this is a production business, and I understand that you lost your quarterback last year, so you got to get a little bit of a hall pass there. But as talented as that roster is, especially on the offensive side of the ball, if you're not winning that division, there's something wrong. Now, you know, the Giants have their issues on offense. There's no question about that. I think the Washington football team has got, you know, their own set of issues, although I think their line of scrimmage is tremendous. But you look at how bad that whole division was last year, throw Philadelphia in there. And the expectation, if you play in Dallas or you coach in Dallas for Jerry Jones, is we need to win the division. And so if you don't win the division with Dak, with the receiving core they have, with the offensive line, with Zeke, I mean, for me, it's win the division or bust for McCarthy.
Interesting you say that because playing the game, you know that, yeah, it's a production business, but there are some caveats. If you're a first rounder that struggles, you're a second rounder that struggles, I don't give a damn if you produce or not. You're still going to be here. The clock's not ticking just yet on you because it's like a weird mix of expectations and desire. So let's just say last year they're going to give them a breakfast ball for all you golfers out there, a little mulligan in terms of what that was. But let me remind you that Dallas is not the only place that has high expectations. Mike McCarthy was at a place named Titletown. I wonder if they had Super Bowl expectations. Oh, it's built into the name. Of course they did. It's called Titletown. Now, what did he do in Titletown? Oh, when he finally got the quarterback, the future quarterback of his dreams, and Aaron Rodgers, 2008. You know what their record was? 6-10. Aaron Rodgers played that entire year. Last year, he had the quarterback of the future, Dak Prescott. He only played 4-ish games for him. You know what the record was last year? 6-10. Damn, if I'm Jerry Jones, I'm looking at him, I'm saying, he started off 6-10 in Green Bay. How did that end 3 years later? Super Bowl champions. Oh, if anything, the clock is ticking in terms of how long it's going to take you this time to win that Super Bowl, Mike, like you did in Green Bay. But in terms of the clock is ticking to expire him as the head coach, oh, nah, they gave him a mulligan. They ain't even started that clock.
That's my thinking as well is you get a mulligan for last year because your quarterback, you go across the NFL. If they lose their starting quarterback, you don't expect them to have a great year. That's just the reality of where we are at. Luckily for Mike McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys, let's just be honest, their division stinks. We're not talking about Mark Schlereth. That division is there to be won by the Cowboys if they can stay healthy. That offensive line already, Lyle Collins, he probably won't play because of Stingers next Thursday. And so that was the key. Their offensive line can't stay healthy. And Dak Prescott, you look at San Francisco with Jimmy G. Say whatever you want about Jimmy G. When he's in the game, the 49ers play well. When he's not in the game, they don't play well. And it's no different across the league. Lose a starting quarterback, your team will struggle. But you look at Jerry Jones. I mean, he gave Jason Garrett 9 years. I believe Shan Gailey's the only coach I can recall since Jerry Jones owned the team. He got fired after his second year. Yeah, I don't see that happening. But Mike McCarthy, no, there's a fire under him. But this division, in my opinion, is so bad, it's there to be taken.
Let me ask you guys both this, because what if, for instance, Dak Prescott stays healthy, they stay relatively healthy on the offensive side of the ball, and they still don't win this division? Because I know there's expectations. They're Dallas Cowboys, for crying out loud, and they have offensively, they've got some pieces. So let's say they all those guys stay healthy and they're 7-9 and they don't make the playoffs, they don't win the division. Then what are the expectations for McCarthy? Then what happens? Do they give him another mulligan, another breakfast bowl? I mean, how many breakfast bowls do you get during a round?
Well, if you're playing with me, the whole damn sleeve. But here's the thing. That's when the clock is going to start ticking. But let's not act like when Jimmy Johnson went 1-15, the clock was ticking. And then Jimmy Johnson stayed 5 years. 1-15? Like you said, TJ, we gave Jason Garrett 9.5 seasons. A half? He got 9.5. He went 8-8 his first year. Not even a winning season. So Jerry's a little more patient than reputation precedes and leads you to. But I'm looking at this situation. They are going to win. I don't know if they're going to win 10 games, but they're going to win this division, and it probably won't even take 10 games to win this division. That's the funny thing about this division right now. But what you're trying to do, Stink, is something that's universal in terms of the law of all coaches. If you don't win, then what's going to happen to you? Well, then, yeah, the clock's going to tick. But if you lose your starting quarterback and you win only 6 games, and last time I saw you win a Super Bowl, it took you 3 years after winning 6 games, we're not going to start the clock just yet. Because right now, this is parallel to a situation you went through that ended in success. So this year, they don't win. They don't win a division. They don't win 10-plus games. I'm starting the clock with you. But right now, in this moment, oh, no, clock is not ticking.
Yeah, I mean, me and Marcellus, we're on the same wavelength with this. They don't win this year, Mark, for sure.
Yeah.
It's pressure. Because this division is so bad. It's not so much what the Cowboys have or don't have. This division, they by far and away have the best quarterback. By far and away, the best offense. Defensively is another story. But when you look at this Cowboys team, if they can't win this division, the pressure ratchets up, and it really fast and really high. Will he be fired? I'll be shocked. But you don't win this division. I mean, you go from, in my opinion, a 0 to an 8 or a 9 immediately. Now, he can lose this season. He might not make it through the following season, the 22 season, because they'll be so pissed. Like, we had this weak division and we couldn't win it. But I don't foresee that happening. I foresee them winning division rather easily. The Cowboys should win 10, 11 games. It's really odd, that they're playing 17, 10-6, 10-7 or 11-6. I can see them going.
Well, I think they have to win. I think they will win. I'm with you guys. I think they're the best team in the division. I also remember in the offseason, Jerry Jones saying, I would do anything known to man to win a championship, right? Except fire myself. He'll do anything he knows except fire himself. So hey, listen, man, I hope he's with us for another 20 years. Was that? Yeah. I hope he's with us for another 20 years. but he didn't have a whole. I mean, the clock is ticking on winning a championship for Jerry Jones in Dallas. So I mean, he better get it together here pretty soon.
Look, all right. We all know that the best indicator of future behavior is past behavior. So I don't care what Jerry says in all seasons. What you do every single year. And if you look at the Cowboys for the last 11 seasons, they've won only 3 division titles. Meanwhile, 2 of the teams in their own division have won the Super Bowl, in the Giants and the Eagles in 2017. So Jerry can say all he wants, but he keeps those coaches around while they're just struggling, trying to figure out how they're going to win the division. So now he's going to start the clock prematurely on Mike McCarthy. Doesn't make sense. But Stink, you do make some sense, because Mike McCarthy, last 3 years as a head coach, not winning seasons. But then Mike McCarthy is a good coach. He's a Super Bowl winning coach. Only 9 of those guys actively are coaching in the NFL. And in 14 years, he's had a top 10 passing offense 12 of those 14 years. With Dak Prescott and the weapons he has, and the NFL being a passing league, oh, I see all this going positive for them. I see all this happening for the Cowboys. We're just 6 days away from the Cowboys and Super Bowl champion Bucs kicking off the NFL season. And Cowboys rookie defensive tackle, okay, I'm going to say his name, Osu Odigizua. If I didn't say it right, my bad, but you're a rookie. Decided to give Tom Brady some bulletin board material. Listen.
What's Tom Brady's weakness?
Not very mobile. You know, been playing for 21 years, dude is a little older, not too mobile. So I'll say that's probably what it is.
Rook. So, Mark, you have love or hate for the Rook? The Cowboys giving Tom Brady bulletin board material.
Hey, listen, when it comes to Tom Brady, don't give that dude any reason to be angry with you. Don't give him any reason to be more motivated than he already is, because Tom Brady is one of those guys that, I mean, he yearns for a chip on his shoulder. He wants to be disrespected. He wants another reason to continue to prepare. And the question was fair. You know, what's his weakness? The answer is he has none. He's Tom freaking Brady. That's the answer. Don't be honest in a situation like that. Yeah, he can't run away from you. But I'll tell you one thing he has. He has the ability to manipulate the pocket. He has the ability to slide. He knows every protection. He knows where everybody on the football field is at all times. And it doesn't matter that he can't move, because he will dial you up from the pocket and eviscerate your defense. And I just remember going back several years ago, the safety from Pittsburgh who talked smack on Tom Brady, and Tom Brady said nothing until Tom Brady torched him for about 400 yards and then ran right up to him and got in his face and said, you know what, be careful what you say about me. So I know Tom Brady, you know, puts it in his back pocket and he lets it, he just stews on that thing.
Yeah, man, look, this is such a rookie move, just oozing of just rookiness. Like, we can't haze rookies anymore because, boy, he needs to get hazed. Somebody needs to knock some sense into him real quick. Oh, man, does he not know talking about Tom Brady will come back on you? Like, Tom Brady has 7 rings. I can name you 17 Hall of Famers that don't have 7 rings collectively. And Tom Brady's just looking at them dudes like, add them all up, they ain't me. And now you're going to give that guy some ammunition? Silly. And then the way he tried to attack Tom Brady, this is crazy to me. I hate this. The fastest thing on the football field, young rookie, is the football. And Tom Brady is decisive with the football. It's not about how fast you are if the football's not there. I remember playing young Tom Brady. I remember playing young Peyton Manning. And I remember doing some of my best pass rush moves, get by him, stink. Sometimes you don't even get touched by the tackle, it felt like. Oh, yeah. And where'd that ball go? Gone out their hands. Tom Brady's a decision maker, and he's going to make a decision to come at you, rookie. Now, you better be up for the task.
You know what I don't understand? He's a rookie defensive tackle drafted in the 3rd round. Why is the media interviewing him?
It's Cowboys.
Of all the players.
It's Cowboys.
All the players, like, very rare that you see a rookie 3rd round pick being interviewed by the media. That just, none of the other players are like, oh, I don't want to interview today. So we're going to go interview. I'm going to say double O. I'm not even going to Osa. What's Tom Brady's weakness? Exactly what Mark said. He doesn't have a weakness. He doesn't have a weakness. because he's only going to play, if you look at the depth chart, he's on the second team. If he's lucky, he'll play 15 to 20 snaps, maybe. Tom Brady was already fired up back in May when the schedule came out. We get to play, he put on Instagram, we get to play America's team in caps, all bold. And so he's already excited for this. If they win this game, I promise you, he's going to try to find his kid. If it's a close game, he's really going to find him. If it's not, he'll probably just kind of just look at him if he's in the game and smile, hey, next time watch him out, because I might not be too mobile, but this mind thinks very fast.
I think that's the key, DJ, and that's the key to being great in the National Football League. It has nothing, obviously it helps you if you're athletic. It helps you if you're, but everybody's athletic, right?
Yeah.
It's the process from the neck up. How fast can you make decisions? He may be the slowest guy in the history of the pocket, but he's one of the fastest guys when it comes to recognizing where everybody is, not only his 5 eligibles, but where everybody is on the defense and seeing what the defense is playing and then knowing, hey, man, if I get quarters, I got flat defenders that are flying out there at the outside linebacker position. If we're getting cover 3, I got 2 hooks inside. Like, who can I take advantage of? Do they get their depth? Do they get the width? Do they get where they're supposed to be? I know all those things. So as soon as I see it and something is clogged up or something doesn't look good on this side, man, I will throw it to a spot without even thinking about it. I'll just trigger because my brain is working so much faster than the rest of you. Like, when you get to that level of playing, regardless of the position, it's like when you first start riding a bike, right? You're on it and you're kind of trying to find your balance and you're getting your pedal set. Eventually, you do it without even thinking about it. Tom Brady doesn't even need to think about it, right? He's just riding the bike. He's just out there. The rookie is still thinking. And he wasn't thinking when he had to answer that question because Tom Brady has got that in his back pocket and he's ready to unleash on Thursday night.
Yeah, I have no idea what he was thinking. Look, I'm not going to try and rob the rookie because he's a rookie of his competitiveness. Like, look, we're all competitors out there and you got to respect people, but you don't have to fear them. I get all that. However, I don't know what detonated the rookie. Like, I get bulletin board material. Oh, I'm not used to the microphone at the NFL level, and this is my opportunity to say something. But it's silly because what are you using as premise? The only reason you can take this shot at Tom Brady or anybody is really 2. Either their game is falling off or their skills have fallen off. His game hasn't fallen off. He just won the damn Super Bowl. And his skills haven't fallen off because he's always been slow. So for you to say he's slow now, like, was he ever fast? Like, he was never faster than this, and it never made him the GOAT. Like, so this is just silly on so many levels. And then Tom Brady's just going to take this in. And he's going to use that poker face, the same poker face he used on Anthony Smith for the Pittsburgh Steelers, the cornerback, when he gave him the business. And this is the same poker face I used to see from Walter Jones. Woo! Hall of Famer Walter Jones had that poker face, wouldn't say nothing to you. I don't know if he read bulletin board material or not. He sure acted like he did. Every time I went against that dude, it was the same brick wall. He gave you the business. But Tom Brady's a quarterback. And we're talking about a rookie defensive tackle. So how do you give him the business? Mark knows. Some of them wham blocks, some of them counters, some of them, as they say, ear hole. They gonna run some plays. Watch Leonard Fournette. And watch some of these counter plays that come to ear hole you real quick, and you're not gonna know which way is up after they get finished with you.
That's right. Give him a little flash, and all of a sudden, tight end comes across and goes, Gronk in the ear hole. Yeah, absolutely love it.
The Cowboys were
How quick is he now?
Oh, I love it. Love it.
They were already going to lose the game, the Cowboys. Now it's just a matter of how bad are they going to lose? It really is. And the Cowboys PR department is like, man, we got this. I promise you, he won't be doing any more interviews. They're going to shut him down just off of this. Because we're not preparing any harder. You're going to prepare the same way. But in the back of our mind, when Brady sees him step on the field, he's going to be laughing and smiling at him, probably make a little nervous, but the Bucs were winning this game regardless. Now it's just a matter of by how much.
Yes, this is an interesting topic. Let's do it because it's all former players up here, even though TJ looked like he could still be active. Let's talk about how you get your revenge, how you can go out there and actually take the bulletin board material and materialize it. People always think you're going to get dirty with it. And I'm like, nah, y'all got to understand how we play. Some people play to the whistle, and some people play to the echo of the whistle. So when someone activates you, bulletin board material, oh, I don't like him, or even sometimes, oh, that's my boy, I got to give him the business. It activates you to go to the echo of the whistle. Rodney Harrison, my former teammate, was the king of this. Matter of fact, I caught a lot of friendly fire from Rodney Harrison because he was trying to get somebody else, and I just happened to be in the way. But basically what Rodney would do is he always did his assignment, and he's like, I'm going to handle that. But what I'm out here to do is to find whoever think that they as bad as me. And he would just be on patrol and be on hunt and find somebody and give them the business. I know, Stink, you got some of them stories from the trenches, some of them war stories. Give the fans one.
That way, there ain't no question. And, you know, I think one of the things that you always think about is the NFL is full of frontier justice. And, you know, if somebody gets you, you're going to get them. And, you know, like we used to back when it wasn't illegal to peel back block, right?
Oh.
And you know, we're gonna run a screen. Like if you're out there on the edge or Bruce is out there on the edge, let's run a screen. You be the peeler, and that means you run the screen to his side early in the game, and the backside guard peels around, and you try to earhole that defensive end when he plants his foot to chase the screen. And so you set things up to slow guys down. And that's a big, we used to run a play called 18 Bob, 19 Bob. And it's the guard pulling around deep and all he has is the corner. And if we knew a corner had an injury like a hamstring or something, or was not big on tackling people, man, early in the game, we're calling Bob. I'm pulling out, or the other guard is pulling out. You're assigned nothing but that corner, and all you're trying to do is scramble his brains, right? You were trying to run through that son of a gun. And that was just a challenge to make sure he knows he's going to have to play football today. You're just not going to get a run around out there in the water and play patty cake, you know, and cover guys. You have to play football today.
Yes, DJ.
And you know what is so sad about this? That's the life of a lineman. They coming for his you-know-what next Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
He's listening to this, and this is going to get back to me. Oh, man. That offensive line that the Bucs have, they coming for him.
Yeah, see, TJ, you ain't got no stories because you live in the suburbs out there with your towels on, your wristbands. Hey ladies, like, we ain't play like that.
You know what's
Let me tell you.
Hey, you know what's so funny?
What?
I would talk trash to the linebackers and defensive line. Never forget, you know how I talk. So I would talk so crazy to him. I remember one time I was talking crazy to him. Willie Anderson grabbed me hard and fast. TJ, shut up. You ain't got to block him. Now you're going to make him come harder for me.
That was my life in Denver with our colleague Shannon Sharp.
Yes.
I got to the point where I said to Chester McLaughlin once, hey, your beef is not with me. If you want to thunder punch him on top of the head, I won't come to his defense. You can beat the snot out of that guy. I don't care. Because he would always pick the fight with the guy that you were playing against. Yeah, always. It just drove me nuts about Shannon. But I tell you what, that's the world you live in. And I will tell you this. If we threw an interception, my head was on a swivel.
Hell yeah.
Because I've been holding somebody all game long, and I know I'm about ready to get snot bubbled. I mean, I have had the snot rocket where I got hit so hard, snot came shooting out of both nostrils from Bruce Smith and Leslie O'Neal. I got up from Bruce Smith's hit, and I'm stumbling around, and I thought my nose was bleeding. I'm just trying to get back to the sideline going, I got to play. It was just snot all down my uniform because he hit me that hard, and it was a cold night in Buffalo. So you're going to get yours if you've been doing things during the course of a game.
Man, I could do story time like this. Another episode of NFL Chronicles, the Frontier Justice Edition. Like, I could do this all damn day. I tell you, I used to not commit many felonies on the field. And look, it's not about what you're doing out there. It's what they can show and what they can prove. The referees, they got a tough job, especially in the trenches. But my misdemeanor was always the gut grab. So I'm at the bottom of the pile. You know, it's like 4 or 5 bodies on top of you. You got about 6 seconds. I find the fattest lineman that has had triple layer cake just hanging out, and I grab that gut, and you can hear him as he get up. it wasn't me. What you talking about? But my felony assault was always when I saw the quarterback on the ground. You know, you got a sack, and if it was a pow, and it was going to take a minute, when I got up, I made sure that my cleats said hello to his fingers. Sometimes I got away with it. Only one time got caught. Nets and Lakers have the best odds to win the title next season, according to Fox Bet Sportsbook. And their offseason roster changes could be a reason why. The Nets signed Paul Millsap, bringing their total to 38 All-Star appearances as a team. Over here with the Lakers, they made several moves, highlighted by the trade for Russell Westbrook. Joined now by Fox NBA analyst Slick Rick the Bucher. So, Slick, which team is more likely to reach the finals after their offseason moves? The Nets or the Lakers? Clippers.
You know, it pains me to say this, but it is the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't believe in what they have done, and particularly in comparison to what the Brooklyn Nets have done. I think the Brooklyn Nets have put together a team that makes more sense, and they obviously have more players that are in their prime. But that said, if this is about who has the better chance of getting to the finals, it has to be the Los Angeles Lakers, because the Brooklyn Nets have to go through the defending champion Milwaukee Bucks.
Oh, God.
And they've got to go through a Miami Heat team that is going to be measurably better with Kyle Lowry, and a Boston Celtics team that is going to be measurably better with Dennis Schroeder. Who do the Lakers have to go through? Who in the West potentially stands in their way? The Utah Jazz, who got knocked out in the second round by a Los Angeles Clippers team that didn't have Kawhi Leonard. A Phoenix Suns team that they were up on 2-1 in that first-round series until Anthony Davis got hurt. The Warriors, not knowing what Klay Thompson is going to be when he comes back. The Clippers, not knowing if and when Kawhi Leonard is going to come back. So this really isn't about the teams themselves and how they're composed. It's the conferences they're in and the opponents that they're going to have to face and get through to get there. And the Bucks just, look, the Nets added players. The Bucks added players and the experience of winning a championship. So I have a sense of where you might be going. And you know what? I'm going to let you go there. And I'll wait for my response, give my response after you've already delivered yours.
Yeah, I don't think you have a sense. You're going to realize I have 6 senses up here right now after I murder you on this tape. Your heart wasn't into that one, Slick. I know it. You don't believe what you were just saying. And you know the obvious answer. It's the Brooklyn Nets.
No, don't confuse me not believing in the Lakers to not believing who has the better path. I believe in what I just said.
Well, and it's interesting that you would believe that way. What I just heard, what I digested from you is not how good the Lakers are, but how bad their competition is to get into a championship, or at least to the championship round. Where I'm going to make the argument, not only how good the Brooklyn Nets are, but how good some of the competition is, but they're just better than even that good competition called the NBA champions in the Milwaukee Bucks. Remember, they faced each other, and they didn't even face each other while the Brooklyn Nets were fully healthy. And they still were up 2-0 in that series. But, you know, you want to talk to me about competition. Let's look in the Eastern competition, Miami Heat. Okay. Dragic was a good player. I don't know how much of an upgrade is Kyle Lowry, but he's certainly an upgrade. I can see some of that. But don't act like he's replacing somebody who was horrible. Dennis Schroeder, the one that misvalued his own value, misplaced his dollars, and lost $80 million this offseason. Now going to help Boston get over the hump. That Kyrie couldn't help him get over the hump. Man, let me stop. Okay, here we go. Let's make this argument Lakers versus Nets. Because you try to go to competition place, and that's distracting to me. Let's talk about the Nets versus the Lakers. I wonder who scores more points in terms of offensive production. Nets or Lakers? Don't say Lakers. It's Nets. What about in terms of efficiency, field goal percentage? Okay. What about three-point percentage? You know, it's all about the three ball. Okay. What about the free throw line? When it's free. Like, even when they like, all right, stop. Bleep. Tank top, go to the line. It's free. You get 2 of them. Lakers can't beat them even in that category. What about turnovers per game? Every coach I know harps on that. It's the little things, guys. It's the little things. Damn, who has fewer turnovers per game? Brooklyn Nets. There's not a category. There's not a stat. And there's certainly not an age that's going to make me lean towards the Lakers over the Nets in this conversation.
Okay, number one, being a bad businessman doesn't make Dennis Schroeder a bad player. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. Okay, he made a huge mistake contract-wise. That doesn't mean that he isn't a serious upgrade for the Boston Celtics and exactly what they need as a defensive point guard who doesn't necessarily need the ball in his hands offensively. But you trotted out all these numbers. I'm glad I never got into a fight with you, Marcellus, because I know you wouldn't have fought fair. You're talking about offensive numbers for a Lakers team that no longer exists. If they've done anything, it's to improve their offensive end of the game. It's their defense that I have questions about. But offensively, they are going to be measurably better. So I have to throw that out. And look, it really comes down, this is the thing that bothers me the most, is when we look at what the Milwaukee Bucks accomplished, and you mentioned that they matched up against each other, and then, yes, the Nets were not fully healthy. Giannis Antetokounmpo also was not the player that he is now as a result of winning a championship. You can't underscore the difference. We, at the time, were not talking about a contest between Kevin Durant and Giannis Antetokounmpo as who's the best player in the league. Now that is very much in the conversation. And when I look at what Giannis did against the Phoenix Suns in particular, going to that 5 spot, I look at all the additions that make the Nets formidable with Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge and Paul Millsap. And I don't see a one of them that's capable of guarding Giannis Antetokounmpo.
I respect that. Look, it's going to be a battle between those two teams to see who's going to represent from their conferences. And obviously, we know that there's one team that's going to probably be supreme over both of them. With a healthy Kawhi in the playoffs, we know this is going to be Clip City, Chip City. 5 quarterbacks were taken in the first round of this year's NFL draft. With 3 of them, Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones, and Zach Wilson are starting week 1. Tony Romo has been heaping praise on Wilson recently, saying that he has the ability to, quote, get in the stratosphere of a Patrick Mahomes. Wow. So, TJ, which AFC rookie quarterback are you most confident in, Wilson, Lawrence, or Jones?
Oh, I'm biased, Marcellus. I'm not going to lie to you. I lean towards Trevor and Zach because I spent a lot of time with them leading up to the draft process and then the offseason getting ready for training camp. So I'm biased.
Okay.
But this is what I will say. Mac Jones will have, team-wise, the best season. Statistically, individually, I got to go with Trevor Lawrence. They're going to be losing. His division is easier than what Zach Wilson and Mac Jones will face. I mean, if you're Zach Wilson, you got to play New England twice, Buffalo twice, Miami twice. That's not going to be easy. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, you got to face Houston. They don't even know what they're going to be. Tennessee, they're decent on defense. The Colts is the only tough defense in that division for Trevor Lawrence. So I'll say Mac Jones team-wise, but individually, statistically, I'm going with Trevor Lawrence for sure.
Oh, man, look, I'm biased as well, TJ. I can't lie. I spent a lot of time losing to the Patriots, so I'm going with Mac Jones. Who Mac Jones when I was a player? You know why? Because give me the most talented team over the most talented player. And that's what's going to happen in New England with Mac Jones. He's going to have support. He's going to have other people carrying the water with him. He's going to be protected by Bill Belichick and that philosophy and that defense and them playing good special teams. He's going to be protected where he could go out there and show his talents. You look at everybody else, they're going to be looking at them like, hey, man, this is on you. Trevor Lawrence already lost his starting running back. You look at the situation of Zach Wilson, you're playing for the New York Jets right now. We'll see how they play out with a first-year head coach. I just don't see those other youngsters being as protected as Mac Jones.
I don't understand why you guys are wrestling with this so much, especially you, TJ, because your head was telling you the right answer, and somehow your heart got in the way and said, no, but I'm going to go this way.
Yeah.
It's Mac Jones. Ooh. Let's be serious. He's Michael McCorkle Jones. That's who is going to be the most successful of these 3 this season, in spite of that name. Look, he's the only one who actually had to beat out a veteran QB for the job, okay? He's the only one who has a coaching staff behind him that has a proven track record of developing rookie QBs and making them successful. And he's the only one who has a top 5 offensive line that's going to give him the time to be able to make the decisions that he's being asked to make. Now, I could make the case that Zach Wilson is a more talented quarterback, and he might even have the more dynamic plays. I have some serious questions about where Trevor Lawrence is right now for a multitude of reasons. But Mac Jones is set up to be successful. And while we are not going to take preseason performances as an indicator of what they're going to do when the lights go on for real, the fact of the matter is Mac Jones is set up to be successful in a way that the other two simply do not compare.
Exactly. Belichick just got him a new Mac and didn't even have to go to the Apple Store. Mac who? Mac Jones, baby. Bama Mac, damn it. Mac and cheese. Mac players, ballers, grinders.